Hi, folks. Welcome to Crisco's Corner. Welcome back. And those of you that are new, welcome. I don't know why this story hasn't got a lot bigger coverage and legs than it has. This is from the Epoch Times, Facts Matter, and it's a story. He goes into detail about how it looks like, very much evidence points that way, that the Department of Justice colluded with the Biden White House on the prosecution of Trump. How prosecutors and agents were in disagreement over the Mar-a-Lago raid, and how DOJ people came to the White House and those same DOJ people pushed the raid on Trump's home, as well as many other things. So let's get into it and I'll comment along the way because this stinks to high heaven.
Smith. He's the special counsel within the Department of Justice who's currently leading the charge in two of the cases against President Trump, the January 6th case as well as the classified documents case. However, the big question that's been hanging in the air ever since these indictments began coming to light was whether or not, behind the scenes, there's been collusion between Jack Smith and the White House. Was, or perhaps is, the White House in any way, shape, or form involved in all these different prosecutions against President Trump? Now,
and those of you that say, well, it doesn't matter if the White House is involved. The executive branch, President Biden, is the head of the executive branch, and they report to the executive branch, the DOJ. And you can fire the Attorney General, which is the head of the DOJ. So why not? Well, think about it for a minute. Your main political opponent, Trump's going to get the nomination. Let's just cut through it before we all drown in it. Trump's going to get the nomination. And Biden says he's running. Even if he wasn't, it's the main Democrat candidate for president that they're fighting against. It's their opponent. And they want to put him in legal jeopardy. So it does matter. This is what banana republics do.
for their part, the White House has denied any involvement. However, a new bombshell report seems to poke a hole in that very well-crafted narrative. This report, that was published first by the New York Post, revealed the fact that just several weeks before they brought the charges against President Trump, one of Jack Smith's top aides had a meeting with the White House. Specifically, this report centers around this man here, Mr. Jay Brett. He joined Jack Smith's special counsel team all the way back in November of 2022, right around the time that it was actually formed. And Mr. Brett has been playing a large role in the investigation. For instance, not only did he go and visit Mar-a-Lago to inspect the boxes that were stored there, and he also interacted with President Trump personally, but also, according to this report here from the Washington Post, Jay Brett was a leading advocate for pushing forward the unannounced FBI raid that took place.
Now, this is the Washington Post. The prosecutor leading the department's counter-espionage work, like he's a spy, Trump is, advocating seeking a judge's warrant for an unannounced search at the property to quickly recover any sensitive documents still there. They say, well, you know, Trump, the National Archives told Trump, we want this stuff back. And Trump dragged his feet and said no and acted like a jerk and wouldn't give him back properly and blah, 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 blah. Isn't that interesting? Just reported last week that the January 6th committee, remember those mental pygmies, had 1.5 terabytes. That's 1.5 terabytes worth of information mysteriously deleted and vanished. All those things were supposed to go to the archives department. Where is the outrage from the archives department that 1.5 terabytes worth of emails, texts, videos, depositions, everything that they collected during their so-called investigation automatically just vanished from the face of the earth? Where's the prosecution? Where's the letters from the National Archives asking the Democrats, where the hell are these files? You didn't get anything. You get crickets. You're beginning to get the picture now. This is about Trump acting different than other presidents.
On Mar-a-Lago, meaning that Mr. Jay Brett is not a low-level pencil pusher. He is a top aide to Mr. Jack Smith, and he's intimately involved with the case. And so, to anyone that was actually paying attention, it was a major shock to learn that he was taking meetings with the White House. Specifically, here is a timeline of events. On March 17th of this
Now follow this timeline now. Well, John, this is just circumstantial. There's been people put in the electric chair in the gas chamber for less evidence.
year, an Obama-appointed judge rejected claims of attorney-client privilege and forced President Trump's lawyer to testify before a grand jury in Jack Smith's classified documents case.
Yeah, imagine that. Rule that the attorney-client privilege didn't exist and force someone's attorney to talk to a grand jury. Think about that for a minute. If that was George Floyd, if he had lived, or other black males in custody, and a judge ruled that, the Democrats would be screaming to holy hell. But since it's Donald Trump, it's okay that the rule of law doesn't apply.
Then, exactly 2 weeks later, on March 31st at 10 a.m. in the morning, Mr. Jay Bratt took a meeting at the White House. On that day, according to White House logs, he met with two people. Ms. Caroline Saba, who was the Deputy Chief of Staff for the White House Counsel's Office, as well as Danielle Ray, who was an FBI agent in the Washington field office. And then, wouldn't you know it, just a few weeks after this mystery meeting, President Trump was indicted on 37 counts by Jack Smith and his team of federal prosecutors.
Isn't that interesting? Things that make you go, You don't have to be Sherlock Holmes, and I'm a big Sherlock Holmes fan. You don't have to be Sherlock Holmes or Columbo or any real good investigators to see what is going on here. This isn't just circumstantial.
Furthermore, it's also worth noting that according to the White House logs, this was not the only meeting of the sort which took place. That's because earlier, when President Trump was in the middle of negotiations with the National Archives about all these classified documents, Jay Bratt had another two meetings at the White House. One was in September of 2021, where he met with Ms. Catherine Riley, who was an advisor to the White House Chief of Staff's office.
Before we go into the weeds here a little bit, I want you to remember something. For those of you out there that said, well, you know, when Joe Biden was notified by the National Archives that he had all those boxes of documents in multiple places, University of Pennsylvania, multiple other offices, and his garage with the famous Corvette in it, you could see boxes piled in the back like they were junk. He gave them up right away. Here's the difference, folks. Joe Biden was not president when those documents were stored. He was vice president. He has had zero authority to declassify anything as vice president. And for 4 years, he wasn't even vice president. Think about that for a minute. He had zero authority. Even Kevin McCarthy, as milquetoast as he is, said, how did then Vice President and then Senator Biden sneak these documents out? He had no legal or lawful right to take them out. So I guess if you get caught and you give them back, it's okay. So I get to steal $10,000 from a bank, $100,000 from a bank, and they catch me and they go, well, you know what, John, just give the money back and everything will be okay. Therein lies the difference, folks. Trump as president had declassification authority. Vice President Biden, and not even Vice President Biden, Senator Biden had zero authority. Let's listen on.
And then just a month later, the second meeting, which was in November of 2021, where he met with Ms. Caroline Saba, who is again the Deputy Chief of Staff for the White House Counsel's Office. And again, both of these meetings were taking place amidst the backdrop of the National Archives negotiating with President Trump's team regarding those classified documents. Now, the visitor logs don't mention what exactly was discussed during those meetings.
Well, yeah, you're right, but I want to make some clarification. The White House Counsel is the counsel for the president and all of his subordinates, i.e. chief of staff, just a whole slew of people that work in the West Wing. He is their counsel. He is not, repeat, not the counsel for the Department of Justice. He is the lawyer for the president and his staff members and appointees, not the DOJ. They don't work hand in glove to investigate anything. In fact, usually when things were going right, the White House counsel and the DOJ are usually on opposite sides and loggerheads. Isn't that interesting?
For all we know, everybody involved was just discussing the weather. However, given the context and the timeline of events, and given the positions of all the individuals involved in these meetings, well, they have naturally raised quite a few concerns about a coordinated legal effort that was being aimed to take down Joe Biden's 2024 presidential contender. And in fact, along that line, Mayor Rudy Giuliani, who was President Trump's former lawyer and who is now a defendant in the Georgia case.
Yes, in the Georgia case, a lot of the indictments, or the people that were indicted, were Trump's lawyers. Think about that for a minute. You put the fear of God in every decent lawyer in this country. You help represent Donald Trump, whether as president or now former president. We will make sure your life is ruined financially, and you may even go to jail. What happened to lawyer-client privilege? It doesn't exist with these people. They're putting his lawyers in jail. Those of you that love this Constitution think that is absolutely outrageous.
He said, when he was asked about these White House meetings, the following, quote, "There is no legitimate purpose for a line Department of Justice guy to be meeting with the White House except if it's coordinated by the highest levels." Furthermore, when he was asked whether or not he believes that the White House and the special counsel were coordinating their prosecution of President Trump, well, here was Giuliani's response, quote, "You're darn right I do. What's happening is they have trashed every ethical rule that exists, and they have created a state police. It is a Biden state prosecutor and a Biden state police." Furthermore,
the White House counsel is going after the person he represents, major number one political opponent. Not the DOJ, the White House counsel. Lawyers aren't lawyers. Some lawyers represent others. Many lawyers work in the DOJ. This White House counsel, I'll repeat, works at the behest of Joe Biden. Why is he coordinating with the DOJ? That's unheard of. Oh, unless, of course, you go back to Watergate. And Watergate seems like a shoplifting charge compared to this.
or when asked about a meeting of this nature, Mr. Jonathan Turley, who is a law professor over at George Washington University, he said the following, quote, "The March meeting was particularly troublesome and raises obvious concerns about visits to the White House after Jay Brad began his work with the special counsel. There is no reason why the Justice Department should not be able to confirm whether this meeting was related to the ongoing investigation or concerns some other matter." And indeed, when they were asked for a public comment about this particular meeting, the spokesman for the special counsel said that Mr. Jay Brad was at the White House for a quote-unquote case-related interview. And that was it.
Yep, case-related interview. Again, the White House counsel is working hand in glove with the DOJ to prosecute President Trump. Think about that for a moment. Just pause the video and think about that.
He declined to comment any further. Now, we here at the Epoch Times, we did reach out to both the Department of Justice and the FBI, as well as to the White House, in order to get clarity on what this meeting was all about. However, they have yet to get back to us. As soon as they do, we'll let you know what they say. And so,
Gee, I wonder if they'll get back to him. What do you guys think?
there you have it. The logs provide absolutely no details regarding what took place during the meeting. No one who was there wants to explain what all these meetings were about. And so the only thing that we're left to know for sure is that the White House counsel's office had a mystery meeting with a member of Jack Smith's team while they were actively investigating President Trump, who is, at that time and right now, Joe Biden's biggest contender in the 2024 presidential race.
Now, I'm not sure. I don't know the ins and outs of the sign-in log for the White House. Is it possible that many people have gotten in under the radar? I don't know, but surely is possible.
Which kind of makes you wonder, if everything was above board, why not just come out and say it, in order to, if nothing else, clear the air and avoid even the appearance of a conspiracy? But perhaps because the media in this country refuses to report on stories like this, they just don't feel like they have to.
So was there collusion? You know, I want to have faith in the Republicans that control the House of Representatives. I truly and truly do. Now they're talking about sending another strongly worded letter and, You know, it's like, remember Animal House? You're on double secret probation. Ooh. Spineless. Spineless. They're bringing a knife to a gunfight. The Democrats play for keeps. They play for real. And they know how to duke it out. They have almost the entire mainstream media, a lot of social media, almost all the major prosecutors in the major cities, hundreds, if not thousands, of judges in their pocket to do their bidding. Where is the Supreme Court? Eventually, they're going to have to step in. There's so much going on. They piled Trump with so much stuff, from felonies, from classified documents, to now they want to stop him from running for president under the 14th Amendment, an insurrection clause. And then they're back to the porn star and the money that hush money that he gave her. That was technically a campaign contribution. So then that's the Manhattan office, and on and on and on and on. I'm just going to leave you with one thing. Replace President Joe Biden with President Donald Trump, and replace Hunter Biden with Donald Trump Jr., and reverse all the roles. If Donald Trump had his DOJ and his White House counsel in collusion to screw over Joe Biden in 2019 and 2020, there would have been hell to pay. What do we get from this? Crickets. Is Trump strong enough to withstand this storm? I sure as hell hope so. Because of somehow, some way, he's put out. That is the end of this republic and the end of the Constitution. Not because it's Donald Trump. This stopped being about Donald Trump years ago. This is about power and control. And this is about the illusion of a democratic republic. Until next time, God bless, goodbye, and good luck.